how important do you think it is for an actor to know who they are? You talked about turning 40 and feeling like you know who you are, you feel comfortable. Do you think people 40, 50, 60, all of them know that?
No. I think we're always learning, and the moment we say we know who we are, then I can probably come tomorrow and be like, I have no idea who I am. I have no idea what's going on, what is happening. Again, I think having a healthy perspective, having good family, or friends, definitely help keep you grounded. Having a dog keeps you need things to keep you grounded. And in this industry, I think you need to know what works for you. You need to know what your wheelhouse is. Again, when I first got down here, I was shooting after leading man roles, and I'm going to be the leading man, and I would get close, but then they wouldn't cast me because I'm not what they were looking for physically. I can give them what they were looking for energy-wise, but not physically. So, it took me a while to be okay with being the geek in these particular roles, or being this guy, and then realizing, I'm in a good spot being where I'm at, because I can go a million different ways. I feel like, I'm not pigeonholed into one particular character or look. So.
I mean, that's interesting that you see yourself as a geek, and maybe you don't, but I don't see you as that. I see you more as the leading man, and I'm sure there's a lot of women, and probably men too, that would. Do you ever feel pressure? And I think I asked you this earlier, but just to be sort of this guy that's people look up to and that they find attractive. And I'm putting you on the spot.
But
I'm sorry. But do you feel that pressure? Because if someone doesn't see themselves that way, but the outside world maybe does.
Right.
Maybe one casting director here didn't, or this person didn't, but
right.
maybe other people do. Do you ever feel? Isn't it a weird sort of a thing? Because other people see you maybe in a different light.
Right.
That you
I
are more the
right.
leading man.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. I feel like
I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry.
Right. No, it's okay. I feel like I grew into myself. When I first got here, I looked like I was 12 and I was 19, and I did fit into more of the geek. And there's nothing wrong. I am a geek at heart. I'm a serious geek at heart, and maybe that's why I play so many, because I am a geek at heart. But yes, there's a lot of pressure in this town, and for years, this industry makes you very aware of how you look, and how you're perceived. And for a while, I was very self-conscious about my chin. And for years, I was always very self-conscious about it, and I could never figure out why. And I would do a profile shot, and I'd be like, oh my God, I was so self-conscious about this, even as a young boy. And then I got to LA, and it was sort of, after going out, and I was sort of in the pinnacle of like trying to find who I was, and it was sort of suggested to me that, well, I remember asking somebody in this business, well, why am I not getting these roles? And they were like, this, and it was like, it was so detrimental to me. I was like, no, it's true. Like, it's true. Okay, it's true. Like, it is my chin, And it was something that just bothered me for years. And it just bothered me. And then I'd stuff it, right? And I was gonna get a chin enhancement. I was gonna get a surgery at the time, and this was like back in the days of Maslin, so it was back in 90-something, 98, 99. And so I had gone and gotten a loan, and I saw this doctor here in Los Angeles, and okay, I was gonna do it. I was gonna get a chin implant, and here we go. I was gonna be taken seriously, and then my friends at the time talked me out of it. And I'm glad I did, and it was something I really, at that time, found out who I was without the chin, without anything, and I really came into my own and felt like, okay, I know who I am. And then over time, I still stuffed that insecurity down, deep down, until it sort of came out one night when we were playing a board game with my family. And something questioned about the looks, and I said something about my chin, and I was really defensive about it. And then my family was like, why don't you just do it? And I'm like, yeah, well, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay if this is something I feel like I need to do within myself. So fast forward, however many years ago, I forget, maybe this was like 6, 7 years ago. I went home to a family doctor and I got a chin implant, and no one would be able to tell. They just put like a little sort of slit here, and they just kind of slid this little implant here. And then when it was done, I felt like, oh, okay, this is how I felt inside the whole time, but my outer never really fit this way. And then I got the chin implant, I got the surgery done, and it's actually in my Big Break documentary. And from that day on, I've never questioned it. I've never been like, oh, I got a chin. It just felt like, okay, now my face feels like it always should have. And it gave me a confidence inside of myself that wasn't there before. And so I say this because a lot of actors in this town do things to themselves to alter their looks in a certain way, and that's something that's a reality of this business. And more often than not, most people have had something done. And I talk about it, and I'm very honest about it, and it's in the movie, My Big Break, where they actually show the doctor doing the surgery on me and me waking up. And so many people lie about it. And it's their own thing. It's their own, if you don't want to tell people, it's okay. But I wanted to tell people because it's a thing in this industry. And I say, whatever makes you feel better. If it makes you feel better and it helps, your confidence, then go for it. You know what I'm saying? And then there are some people that maybe take it to the hilt and just do way too much because they're trying to feed an insecurity that you cannot fill. You know what I mean? You have to go within. But this was one thing that made me feel like me. So, yeah, I think there is a pressure, absolutely. And it's how you deal with it, and it's how you find yourself. And but at the end of the day, you have to do something for you. And that's why I did it. It was for me. It wasn't for this industry. It was not for acting. I had gotten past that. It wasn't for anybody in this town. It was for me. And once I did it, I felt great, and I haven't really thought about it since. So.
After the surgery, did people treat you differently?
No, which is good. They didn't treat me differently. I maybe treated myself differently. I probably. I'm not as, I'm not as self-conscious about my profile. That was something, even as a boy, which at a young age, you really shouldn't have any sort of like perception of your body and be insecure like that. But I remember being very insecure about my profile. And then when it was brought to my attention here in town, I'm like, oh God, it's true. It's all very true. But after doing it, I felt so much better, and I felt more confident in myself, and no one treated me differently, and not many people know, unless they've seen the movie. They'd be like, I couldn't even tell. And I'm like, well, yeah, that was the whole point, and I had a really good doctor who wanted to make it so subtle that it wasn't a thing, And then you wake up and you have that moment where you're like, oh my God, I look different, and you had to go through that whole thing, and then you sort of settle into your new look, so to speak. But I had before and after pictures, and it made a huge difference in sort of, I think, maybe it'll make the difference later on about playing a leading man sort of role. And I'm never going to be this sort of leading man that is. And the great thing these days is leading man has sort of changed into this. It's not, the typical really good-looking guy now. It could be more interesting people, which I think is what people want to see. It's more interesting people, people that they can relate to. But maybe this makes a difference. Maybe it doesn't. But for me, it made a huge difference.
So it sounds like it was more internal then, is really where it made the difference.
Yeah, it was very much internal, and it was something that I had stuffed down, and it would create such an anger inside of me until I heard that it was okay, and it was always okay. My parents and family always supported it, but once they said, "Hey, just do it," I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I should, and then I talked to Tony and Elizabeth about it, and they supported it. So, yeah, again, it's unfortunately, the looks department is a bottomless pit here in Los Angeles, and I think if you could sort of keep a middle ground, don't go too crazy, keep who you are, but just maybe, do the things that you got to do to make yourself feel better.
Some people have trouble taking compliments, and then some people, they can't take enough compliments about them, and they're busy giving their own compliments about themselves.
Right.
How has that been for you to come into your own, whatever it is, peace that you've come to be with yourself? How is that to accept compliments? Because I'm sure there's people, let's not talk about the trolls, because they always exist for anything.
Right.
But people that do give you genuine compliments, whether it's about your looks, your performance, your ghost hunting.
Right. I think compliments, I don't know, again, like there are people that just want to hear themselves being adored left and right, and I think they got a real issue. I think they got a problem, and I think that's a scary place to be in. I think if that's the case, you are so insecure, and you need to find something inside of you that's real, because, on the flip side, I think it's hard to take compliments sometimes. I guess it falls back into loving yourself and being okay with taking compliments. And again, I'm always so humbled by compliments, and I take it to heart because it means a lot to me. And these are people that, again, in my lives and the friends, like fans, whatever. I feel very lucky to get those compliments, so I take them very seriously and to heart.